Welcome back to the Old Shed Workshop. If this is your first time here, I'm Mike, and I'll invite you to like and subscribe, and please hit the bell for notifications for future videos. Today I'm about to make a cut on a beautiful piece of olive wood that's eventually going to be a river table cribbage board. But before I make this cut, I thought it would be a good opportunity to show you the jig that I made to cut a piece of wood that has two uneven sides like this piece of wood does. So let's take a look at the jig. So to start, you start out with a nice piece of quality plywood. This is 3/4 inch plywood, and you need a runner. So I buy these HDPE strips that are made specifically to fit in a miter gauge slot. I'm sure you've seen several videos on the internet on how to mount one of these to start making a sled. So I'm not going to go into all of that. What you do, just briefly, is you put a couple of washers or a couple of dimes in the slot. You sit your HDPE piece on top of it so it's raised proud of the table saw table. And then you glue it. You lay a piece of wood on top of it, and then you set it. After it sets a minute, super glue is real quick. I use typically super glue and activator. Take it out of the slot, flip it over, drill and countersink some holes for some screws. That's all there is to the bottom of the jig. The way this jig is designed, you're going to leave the runner so that you have enough room past the blade. Because what you're going to want to do after you get the runner attached to the base, you're going to want to run the piece through the saw blade. So your straight edge on the edge of the jig is going to be right up against the edge of the blade. Once that's done, I go to the router table, and the 1/4 inch router bit for this is made by Micro Jig. I use Micro Jig clamps, and the Micro Jig router bit, I can tell you from experience, is a good way to go, because as you pass the router through, their proprietary router bit cut takes the edge off the edge of the cut. You don't get all that rough edge on the edge of your cut. It doesn't matter how far you come in from the ends of your jig, but cut the same on this end as you do on this end. Then move your workpiece on your router table, cut this one the same as this one, and then flip it 90 degrees and cut this one, and then cut this one. It doesn't matter what measurement you choose. So now what I do, slide these into the jig. Sometimes you got to jiggle them a little bit. It's just the nature of the beast. You get these in. Then you get the jig in place. Then you have one more small piece. Again, from the same piece of plywood. I used my dado setup, cut a dado to put in a piece of track so I can use my hold down clamps. So now, if I have an uneven piece of wood with odd shaped sides, like this piece I'm just going to cut, the olive wood, this piece doesn't have to be straight. All right? So if you got a piece that comes out on an angle, that's fine. All you have to do, size it up, get it close, lock these clamps down. Now with this being close, you get your workpiece up on top of the jig, and you set your hold down clamps. This isn't exactly where I want to be, but I'm going to show you how it works. I have a center line drawn on this beautiful piece of olive wood. I can line up the center line with the edge of the jig and know that the saw blade is going to be perfect right on that edge. So now I can take my hold down clamps. In fact, I want to come in a little closer with this. You can see the utility of this jig. Now I hold down with the clamp, make all your final adjustments before you lock everything in place. I bring this over. I know that this end of the line is still going to be lined up exactly with the edge of my jig. This is locked down. I'll bring my hold down clamp. I'm going to bring this in just a little bit more. Then I'm going to take my hold down clamp and lock it in place. I got to look. I think it needs to come in a little bit. That looks good. This one looks good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise the blade. I'm going to activate my two-stage dust collection system, and I'm going to make the cut. And this clamp acts as your pusher, as you push your workpiece through. I'll tell you one other thing before I cut the piece. Don't stop the minute your workpiece gets past the cutting edge of the blade. You get a little half moon in the edge of your workpiece from the blade stopping once you turn it off. You'll see in just a minute. All right, let's cut it. Let the blade stop completely before you do anything. Okay, we'll pull this back, undo the hold down clamps. Now you've got a workpiece that has two uneven surfaces. You have nothing to run against the fence on the table saw. Here's the two pieces. Now these two pieces are going to end up like this. This is going to create a rivet table that's going to be a cribbage board. So that's how this jig works to cut a straight line on a board that does not have a straight edge. I'll put links down below for the micro jig clamps, for the track, for the hold down clamps, and for the router bit. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.